If you're gonna fail, fail gloriously. This was a saying my old radio partner Steve loved to invoke. He was a big fan of clients and folks in general taking big swings, because even if you didn't achieve what you were looking to do, you could lay your head down at night satisfied that you'd left it all on the field. And that is why I tried to use Miami Vice to get to host an ocean cruise. See, back in the early days of my radio career, I was talking to my buddy Brandon about the annual station cruise held every January. Perfect time to get out of northern Michigan. And it was available to folks who wanted to buy a ticket, or you could win some on the air. And there was always a staff member who got to host. And pretty quickly in the conversation, it went from, wouldn't it be funny if they let us do this, to, we gotta put a pitch together. Now, I don't exactly remember how we landed on using an iconic 80s TV show as the theme for said pitch, but it was definitely unique, and the big boss was not expecting us to walk into his office one day, not only with this video presentation, but also take-home materials. Come on, don't you want to go on a cruise with these guys? This thing is filled with ridiculous corporate buzz speak. A new approach to the way we cruise, continuing the tradition of excellence while adding a new perspective. What? It should not surprise you to learn that Brandon and I did not host the WTCM cruise. However, 3 great things came out of this experience. Number 1, it was ridiculously fun to make this video. Number 2, we failed gloriously and could take great pride in our efforts. But most importantly, number 3, it solidified the importance of taking big swings for the sake of the swing, not for the hit. Because when you stop worrying about whether or not something's gonna go and keeping track of every little thing you do, you go big, and eventually the law of averages starts setting in. And some of those swings, well, that is a story for another day. Batter up! We talked in the first episode of this show about one of our favorite clients, Dream Team Northern Michigan.
Special needs baseball league that helps give players of all abilities the chance to experience the joy of playing baseball.
I'm very happy to be headed out for their final game of the season to get some special footage that we can use later for more promotional efforts. It is about 70 degrees, a blue clear sky, a perfect morning for some baseball.
Did you move your marbles today? I just finished up my prospecting for the afternoon, which involves making notes about clients I've worked with before who might need some new video services, and folks that I've never worked with yet, but hope to in the future. And I'd call this my marbles because of an old technique that my dad told me about that he learned when he was first getting started in the insurance game in the 70s. So it involves reframing how you think about your job and what it is that you actually need to do. For example, if you're a salesperson, you may say, I gotta close 3 deals today. Well, that's not something that you can ultimately control. However, what you can control is, I'm going to call on X number of people and try to make a sale. That's it. That's the difference. But the marbles, well, this is the other key point. Once you've called on a person, say, if that's what one of your tasks is, you move your marble from one pants pocket to the other. And when you've run out of marbles, you've done your job for the day. As a self-employed person, this is incredibly helpful because you're putting safeguards in there to make sure that you're not lying to yourself about accomplishing things. So, have you moved your marbles today?
Today we're working on some promos for Virtual Magic with a guy who is cool in analog and digital all around, Ben Wedding, my brother-in-law, and my brother. You're not just a magician, you're a small business owner.
Correct, yeah, I guess you would call it a solopreneur.
The challenges that you faced, especially when everything went virtual,
Yeah, that was different. I worked in 3 different industries, all of which collapsed in March of 2020. So I lost 95% of my bookings in the course of about 2 weeks for the upcoming year and a half.
And then you spent a lot of time in this very room.
There's cameras, there's up here, there's lighting, because I had to turn it into a virtual studio. I think the main thing a small business owner needs to be able to do is adapt.
You've got the skills for the virtual, so you're keeping that going, and that's why we're doing these promos today. But also, you're getting back out there, real human-to-human contact. Have the 2 shows sort of started informing one another?
They absolutely have. Because what's great is no matter what you're encountering, you can learn something. And the things that I've been having a lot of fun with virtually, now I'm starting to wonder, well, how can I adapt this way I'm connecting with the audience and bring it into my live shows, and then vice versa again. And so I've actually ended up creating my live show. It's almost completely different than it was before the lockdown happened, and I think it's better.
One mistake that small business owners should avoid?
One mistake? Thinking you're right.
That is good for a lot of different things.
And I think also another big thing that helped me out is, I think action trumps planning. You can plan yourself to death. The reality is if you're not putting yourself out there and not trying to bring value to your clients, nothing's going to happen. I love the advice that Steve Martin gave in his autobiography, Born Standing Up. He said the key to success is you just have to be so good at what you do that people can't ignore you. So many people are focused on, Google AdWords, what should my logo look like? How do I, come up with that pithy tagline that'll really make the business card look good or get an agent? And the reality is if you focus on the value you're delivering to your clients and make it as good as you can be, scaling and growing kind of takes care of itself. Because the only thing worse would be to scale a horrible product or a horrible service. And then that story is going to take off and it's going to be very, very difficult to make a living.